Hello, Cancer, and welcome to your July 2021 reading. Be sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising for a more well-rounded reading. And if you're interested, I offer personal individual readings, and those links are in the description box below. All right, let's go ahead and begin. The first book card we have is Clouds, and this has to do with reminiscing is the thing that came to mind right off the bat, that kind of being in your own head, but being in your head that is supportive to well-being, that is supportive to connecting who you are with memories and things that you remember throughout your life that feed and nurture you or supports you. Now, this can even be shadows, and I know that sounds contradictory, but sometimes when we have done the work and we've learned to face aspects of ourselves that are our shadows, we can still be remiss that these things happened or that these shadows had come of circumstances that they may have come from, but we can also look at them as how we are, who we are as a result of them. There are strengths that are part of our core being that are a result of these experiences. But at any rate, there is just an overall kind of taking the time to pause and be reflective and creating connections with memories that empower us in some facet. Even the memories that aren't necessarily positive, we can look at them and turn them around and make them kind of turn the narrative in our head about them around to be a source of strength and empowerment, if that makes sense. But that is the energy that I'm getting from the card for Clouds, and this is being followed up with You Did It. And I just get a sense that there's a time that you're going to need to, like I said, being reflective on just your personal history from a very personalized individual perspective, and just looking at experiences and trying to change the narrative in such a way that no matter what your memory is, the narrative of it, you manage to make it feed and empower yourself in one way or another. So there's just a request or requirement for you for the month of July to really find a way to pat yourself on the back for your successes, really kind of become reflective on how you have, the word survive just came to mind, and so however that applies for you, but just an overall sense of how you have come to this point in your life and you have managed to thrive and survive. In some cases, it might even be despite occurrences, despite past experiences and situations. And as a result of that, you can actually pat yourself on the back for the strong person that you are, despite things that have occurred, despite these moments in time and memory. You can really be reflective on your success as a result of or in spite of these situations. So this is the energy of the month of July that I'm getting for you. Just really being reflective to the point of you can, there's definitely some emotion that's involved in this, and a little bit of kind of bluesy type emotion, really kind of deep emotion that is involved with this. But there's an opportunity to really find moments that you can turn things around and the narrative around in such a way that makes you feel empowered and allows you to perceive yourself for the powerful survivor and warrior that you are. So this is the energy that I'm getting, and this just kind of feels like it's very slowly trickling and flowing through the month of July. So it's not something that comes sudden as a hard hit, as much as it's just kind of there. It's an undercurrent that's going to flow and just sort of be present, low key present. So the awareness of it is low key, but the energy of it can kind of get a little heavy. And some of that's because we don't even realize that this is the waters we're wading in, until, you wade in the water for so long and your feet start to get kind of all wrinkled because it's been in the water too long. It's that sort of perception. Like you're walking in the river and just enjoying the scenery, and you're not really kind of cognizant of that your feet have been wet that entire time until suddenly you realize the impact of being in water for too long and what it has done to your feet or your shoes or whatever. So this is the sort of energy that this emotion, this heavy emotion, really feels like it's taking on for the month of July. It's not something that's going to hit you or smack you as much as it's just something that you're going to be wading in all the time, and you'll be deep into it before you realize the impact it's having you on a on a bigger perspective and on an overall perspective. And the awareness is something that's probably going to occur more towards the middle, third week of July. Feels like it's really heavy as far as kind of a realization, or to suddenly be cognizant of, hey, I just realized I've been feeling something every single day, and I didn't really notice that it was impacting me till now. So that sort of aha moment still feels like it's at the third week of July. And if you watch this video early enough, hopefully it can kind of give you the heads up so you can be a bit more cognizant of it, and do whatever you need to do. If you need to do any sort of ritual or working to kind of head it off or to contain it, or do whatever you need to do to know that you're working with it in a way that becomes beneficial instead of kind of pulling you down. But just an awareness. This reading, as far as these two cards so far, is really kind of putting out there for you to have a sense of awareness that this is present. So what you need to do, we have the card of Temperance, and she's actually in water, so it's kind of interesting that that's the analogy that I used. But it really is touching base with that concept of making sure that you're keeping the correct balance, being aware of your surrounding, being aware that you're in the water and playing with this water, playing with this emotion, being in this emotion and playing with this emotion, even when you may not be aware that this is there. Really kind of tapping into that, keeping a balance. Like I said, I feel like this is really just a reading that's kind of letting you know that this is going to be an undercurrent for the most of July. So it's not going to be hard and heavy. It's not going to smack you up. It's not going to be something that's going to be a hard hit. But the problem with that is that when it doesn't come in fast and hard, we're not always aware of it. It kind of happens in the peripheral, or kind of happens in the sides, or peripheral is the most appropriate word. And so when things happen in our peripheral, because it's not in our direct line of sight, we don't really give it focus. And so this is just kind of a reading so far, even being revalidated with this Temperance card, that to kind of give you a sense of awareness so that you can kind of do what you need to do. Maybe bring it into your awareness and do some workings against it, or do some protections for yourself, or just do the self-nurturing that you need to do that keeps you balanced and healthy. What you need to do, we have the Nine of Swords, and I don't get overwhelmed. I feel like the Nine of Swords is really saying, don't get overwhelmed. Don't allow. And then again, this feels like it's more the third week of July. Like I said, I feel like this is going to be an undercurrent. It's something you're not aware of until suddenly at one point you realize the impact of it. You realize that like I said, your feet have been wet, and now you feel the feeling that happens when your feet have been wet for too long. What happens to the skin when it's been wet too long? That's the sort of energy that I get in the third week of July. And the Nine of Swords is letting you know not to be overwhelmed. Again, I feel like so far the cards have been, to this particular reading for you, has been kind of a reading of awareness so that you can hedge against it. You can prepare against it. You can do what you need to do to take care of yourself, and, put on boots if you need to put on boots, as this particular image has on. Just don't get in so deep that the water's above the boot line. There's just really an overall sense of making sure you're doing what you need to do to take care of yourself, so that it doesn't eventually have you up at night crying. I just happened to look down, and I saw in this particular card image, she's not just awake because her thoughts are awakening her, but she's got some blueness under her eyes, like she's been crying. So there's just an overall sense of, if you're not too careful, if you're not too aware, even if you have your boots on to hedge your bets against the water that you're wading through, if you're not aware enough, you might get into the area of the water where the water is up actually above your boot line. You might get to the point where you are overwhelmed to the point of being awakened at night and really heavy with this emotion because it's taken over in your thought and in your mind. What you don't want to do is the Tower card comes up, and you don't want it to rock and shake your core foundation. You don't want it to just kind of push you off of your direct path, push you off of the way that you have been heading, the way you've been going. I feel like you've been working on some things, and you've made some really good connections, and you've made some heavy grounds as far as something that you're working on. Feels very personal. Sort of like a personal spiritual growth aspect. So there's things that you have been focused on and grounds that you have made, a sense of, you've really kind of reached a point of self-development that you should be commending yourself for, and you have, but it hasn't taken deep enough root for you to feel the kind of confidence that makes it so that you're not wavered by it. And so you're just, this again, I really feel that this whole reading is kind of a message of awareness, so that you are aware that these emotions, this undercurrent is happening, and just making it so that it doesn't rock the foundation that you have just recently built for yourself. Make sure that you don't, that it doesn't undo some of the work that you have done. And just, again, I really think this is a warning. This is kind of, like I said, an awareness, so that you do what you need to do to prepare for this, and you do what you need to do to protect yourself, whatever working, ritual, spell, whatever it is that you need to do. You're just being told to do this, and do this at the beginning of July, if you're getting this message early enough. And if you're getting this message and it's, you're in the thick of it, you can do some retroactive work. You can do a working that allows you to sort of work in time and space retroactively to support you in the current time. But essentially, it's just overall, you're being given an awareness so that you can prepare and protect yourself accordingly, so that you don't rock your foundation and some of the self-improvement that you have created and you've developed for yourself. And you'll get through this, in July or August. July will come to an end, and along with it, this undercurrent will dissipate with the end of July, with the ending of July. So will this undercurrent end. All right, Cancer, that is all I have for you for this particular reading. Be sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising for a more well-developed reading if you are so inclined. Also, if you would like a personal individual reading, I do offer those, and the links for that is in the description box below. I hope you find the time and the ability to do what you need to do for protecting and preserving yourself through the month of July, making July end up being a good month for you. And hopefully I will see you in a future video.